Hello class, welcome to the second part of our module 2. In module 2 lecture 1 I explained to you that the module is divided into two. We have lecture 1 and lecture 2. This is the second lecture, that is lecture 2. In our first lecture of module 2 we discussed on basic grammar, where we look at the words, sentences, phrases, punctuation, marks, and so on. So in this second part we are going to focus on tenses. Tense is a term in grammar which indicates the time of an action or event. In other words, tense is one of the forms of verb that shows the time when an action took place or is taking place or is going to take place. There are three types of tense. That is, tense or time is divided into three: present, past, and future. Present tense generally deals with actions that are either existing or being considered now. That is, any action that is existing or taking place daily, or an action that is being considered now at the present time. It is what is called present tense. The present tense has the idea of the currency associated with it. This category of the tense is divided into four as follows: the present simple tense. This tense can be used in various situations. It is formed by using the base form of the verb. The present simple form, it is used to show different situations. Number one, to express a present action. That is, when an action takes place at the present time, it is shown by simple present tense. For example, Adamu likes rice. You enjoy lecture. It also expresses a repeated or habitual action. That is, any action that is taking place habitually, daily. It is indicated by the use of simple present tense. For instance, we go to mosque every day. I pray every day. I take tea every morning. All these are actions that are taking place habitually, so it is expressed by using simple present tense. It expresses a general action that is true. That is, any action that is true, it is presented by using simple present tense or present simple tense. Example: the sun sets in the west. Mosquitoes transmit malaria. The second type of present tense is present continuous tense. This is used to express an action in the progress at the time of speaking. That is, when an action is taking place in the time the speaker is speaking or is talking or is writing, then it is what is called present continuous tense. It is formed by using am, is for singular, and then a for plural, plus ing form of the verb. That is, when you are using a simple present continuous tense, you should use either am, is, or are, and then add ing at the end of the verb. For example, the verb lecture. In this sentence, it is formed as I am lecturing, that is ing is added at the end of the verb lecture, and am is used to show that what the speaker is saying, it is in progress. Am I lecturing now? Number 2, you are listening, so is used, and then ing is also added to the verb listen. The important thing one should understand is that am goes with I, and then is goes with the third person singular, and for the remaining person are is used. The third part is the present perfect tense. This is used to describe an action that is completed in the past, whose effect continues till the present. That is, it is showing any action that is completed, but the effect is still at the present time. There are two situations in which the present perfect tense is used. It is formed by using has for the third person singular, or have plus the participle form of the verb. Present perfect tense expresses an action just completed. For example, they have arrived. He has finished the work. They have eaten the food. That is, for he, she, it, has is attached when expressing present perfect tense to the subject of the sentence. But for the remaining persons, that is the first and second person, have is used. It also expresses an action that is completed in past, whose effect continues after the present. For example, I have known Shehu for 10 years ago. That is, it is something that happened or completed some years back, but the effect is still there. The students have sat down. Present perfect continuous tense is used to show an action which started in the past but continues after the present time. It is formed by using has been or have been. Has for the singular form and have for the plural form, plus the ing form of the verb. When we say plus the ing form of the verb, is by adding ing at the end of the verb. For example, we have been receiving lectures for the past 2 weeks. She has been reading her book. It has been raining heavily. This tense, that is a past tense, is a tense that expresses an action that is completed in the past. You normally use past tense when narrating a story. This is also divided into 4 as follows. That is the past simple tense. This is the commonest of all the tenses. The past simple tense is generally used to describe events, habitual activities, and states in the past. It consists of only one verb. That is, when using a past tense, it is only one verb that is being used. That is without any auxiliary or any participle used. All that is needed in a simple past simple tense is to add d or ed to the verb. That is for the regular verbs like I phoned my mother last 2 months. Nigeria gained independence in 1960. While in some instances the form is changed totally, like for the irregular verbs, whereby she sat for the SSCE last year. The verb is sit and the past form is sat. and also it is used to show habitual activities in the past. For example, it rained every day in August. They went to church every Sunday. The boy ran to the school daily. These are the examples of simple past tense or past simple tense. It also shows a state in the past. The soup was tasteless. Musa became rich later. Number 2 is the past continuous tense. This tense is used to express an action in progress or incomplete in the past. It is performed by using was for a singular form and were for the plural nouns or pronouns by a plus ing form to the verb. When we say plus ing form to the verb, that is by adding ing to the verb of that particular sentence. For example, I was eating when my sister called me. You were shouting at the top of your voice when I entered the classroom. The third part is the past perfect tense. This tense shows an action that had completed earlier in the past before another action began. It is formed by using had plus past participle form of the verb. For example, I had finished lecture before she arrived. You know this in a simple past tense. The speaker or writer will just say I finished or I have finished. Future tense is the third part or type of tense in English. The future tense of verbs expresses events or action that have not yet happened and that will happen at some point in the future. That is the future tense, as the name implies, is showing or expressing action that will take place in the future. There are 4 forms of future tense as follows. Simple future tense. This shows an action that will take place in future. It is formed by using will or shall plus the base form of the verb. When we say the base form of the verb, that is the verb as it is without any addition or subtraction. For example, the Super Eagle will play tomorrow. You can see that will is used to show what will happen tomorrow. I shall go to Lagos next week. She will like it. All these are actions that will take place in the future. Number 2, future continuous tense. This shows an action that will be in progress in future. That is, it is an action that will happen but in a continuous form in the future. It is formed by using will be or shall be plus the ing form of the verb, that is by adding ing at the end of the verb. Example, we shall be finishing this lecture by next month. I will be coming next week. The third one is future perfect tense. This tense shows an action that will be finished in the future. This is formed by using will have or shall have plus past participle form of the verb. For example, we shall have completed this course by the end of November. Boys will have eaten by night. The fourth one is future perfect continuous tense. This tense shows an action that will have been in progress in future. Will have been. Mark this. It is formed by using will have been or shall have been plus the ing form of the verb. Example: Adamu will have been eating his lunch by this time tomorrow. I shall have been completing this course by this time next month. Punctuation provides division between sentences and part of sentences. It makes reading easy because you know where to stop a little and where to stop a little longer. Punctuation makes understanding of a passage or writing easier. There are 3 types of punctuations used at the end of each sentence. That is the punctuation used at the end of each sentence. It is what is called terminal punctuations. That is, punctuation marks are used to show where a speaker or writer stop a little or stop longer in order to have a complete meaning of a particular passage or speech. There are 3 types of terminal or punctuation marks that are used at the end of each sentence. These are full stop, question mark, and exclamation mark. The full stop, or what is sometimes called period, is used in the following ways. That is, there are certain places where full stop is used. The full stop is used to mark the end of a declarative sentence. A declarative sentence is a statement. That is, at the end of every statement, it is expected to use the writer to use full stop. For example, all Bayreuth University students are to bring their dictionaries to the class tomorrow. So at the end of this sentence, this writer has to use full stop to show that it is the end of the sentence. It is raining. By using full stop, you are telling the listener or the reader that you come to the end of the statement. The full stop is used at the end of an imperative statement. If the imperative not strong enough to require an exclamation mark, an imperative statement is a command. But a command that is not that strong to have an exclamation mark, there the writer can use full stop. For example, open the windows. Go and call me a doctor. It is a command, but the command is not that strong, so that is why a full stop is used at the end of the sentence. The next one is that the full stop is used after abbreviations. That is, after each abbreviation, a full stop should be used. Example: when you are abbreviating Al-Haji, at the end of the ALH, full stop should be used. BM, since you are abbreviating, also a full stop should be used there. That is, whenever abbreviation is taking place, there is the need of use of full stop. Apart from using full stop in the names of people, that is when you are abbreviating names of people like Al-Haji, Prof, Doctor, full stop is also used in companies and government agencies when they are referred by their initials, that is acronyms. That is when the writer is not writing the full name of a company or a government agency, so he can use a full stop when using the initial letters or acronyms. For example, NTA, that is National Television Authority. You know, when the initial, the N for national, T for television, and A for authority is used, then full stop is used after each letter. Question mark is used, is the second terminal mark in English language, and it is used after a direct question or rhetorical question. A direct question is a question that is asked directly. For example, when do you work? How do I get the post office? Do you know his name? What is your name? All these are direct questions. So it is question mark is used after each direct question, and also it is used after a rhetorical question. A rhetorical question is a question that does not require any answer. For example, how will I know that he will be angry? Or can a man ever learn from his past mistake? All these are rhetorical questions. Exclamation mark is the third terminal mark used. As the name implies, exclamation marks are used at the end of exclamatory sentences. For example, come here if you dare. How wonderful. Oh, amazing. So you can see that exclamation marks are used in the following sentences. The comma is used between words in a list. That is when the writer is itemizing objects or items, a comma is used there. For example, he has milk, sugar, biscuit, soap, and bottled water in his house. She came across a short, fat, ill-tempered fellow. That is when you are listing items, or when you are separating words, question mark should be used. Commas are also used to separate clauses in compound sentences. If you can remember, in the first part of this lecture, we talked about simple and compound sentences. For example, the chairman arrived at the conference on time and everybody stood up. So you can see there are two sentences that are merged as one, but there is the use of a comma to separate the first sentence and the second sentence. A colon is used in a sentence to introduce a list. For example, the subjects like I like are English, geography, economics, government, and biology. The following school prefect has been appointed head boy, head girl, house captains, and labor prefect. Colon can also be used for an extension of an expressed idea or information. For example, we submitted our term papers to the teacher at different times as follows. That is, before you start itemizing or listing what you want, a column is used, as we can see from the example given. The semicolon is used to separate clauses in a compound sentence when there is no coordinated conjunction. We know what coordinative conjunction is in our lecture 1. So when the writer is not using coordinating conjunction, that is and, or so, semicolon can be used there. For example, the farmer planted millet. He did not plant rice. I told him to wait. I did not tell him to eat. So we can see that semicolon is used in the absence of coordinating conjunction. The semicolon can also be used to separate clauses in compound sentences which has but as coordinating conjunction. For example, the trader has different kinds of goods, but they are expensive. We can see that a semicolon is used before but in this sentence. The apostrophe is one of the types of punctuation marks in English. In writing, we sometimes use contraction, that is, we omit a letter or some letters in a word. In most cases, when we contract a word, we combine it with another word so that we have a single expression to indicate the place where the letters are missing. We use the apostrophe. For example, I don't know. So don't is a contraction of do not. So when O is omitted there, so apostrophe is used. Adamu won't come. The meeting will be held at 4 o'clock. I'm sorry to hear that. You can see that instead of using I am, so by contraction the words, by combining I and am, then apostrophe is used there. We also use the apostrophe with S after a noun or pronoun to form the possessive case. That is, in order to show a possession, apostrophe is used with S. For example, Muhammad's book is missing. That is to show that the book that is belong to Muhammad is missing. An apostrophe is used between Muhammad and S. The boy's cap is blue. The girl's shoes were well polished. So if you look at that, in some example, the apostrophe comes before S, while in some example it comes after S. So when you are using singular form, apostrophe comes before the S, but in plural form the apostrophe comes after the S. Capitalization or capital letters. We use a capital letter for the first letter of all proper nouns. That is, when you are writing a particular name of a person, place, and so on, a capital letter is used at the beginning of that particular word. For example, names of persons: Sani, Abdul, Ibrahim, and names of places like Calabar, Ibadan, Kano. Names of countries: Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, and names of mountains: Mountain Kilimanjaro, Mountain Kenya, and the names of rivers: River Niger, River Benue, River Nile, and names of lakes like Lake Chad, Lake Victoria. All these names are proper nouns because they are names given particularly to the particular place or country, mountain, rivers, and so on. Names of ocean like Atlantic, Pacific, Indian Ocean are also used by using a capital letter at the beginning of the words. Names of continents like Africa, Asia, Europe, Australia, and so on. Names of months also are used by starting the names with a capital letter like January, March, December, April, and so on. names of days of the week, like Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, are also written by using capital letters at the beginning of the words or names. Other uses of capital letter is we capitalize the first letter of the first word of every sentence. That is, whenever you're going to write a sentence, at the beginning of that sentence a capital letter should be used. We capitalize the first letter of every line of poetry. That is, when you are writing a poem, each or every line should start with a capital letter. We capitalize the pronoun I. So wherever, whether at the beginning, at the middle, or at the end of a sentence, so far as you are using the pronoun I, it should be written with a capital letter. We capitalize the first letter of the first word of opening and closing of a letter. For example, dear sir, dear Abdul. So at the beginning of the letter you start with a capital letter, and also when you are closing, like yours sincerely, yours faithfully, that is, that Y should be in a capital letter. This takes us to the end of our discussion on these items in Module 2, Lecture 2. That is, in Lecture 1 and 2, we explained word classes, sentence structure, and function, tenses, and punctuation marks. Thank you for listening.